knowledgeable, resilient, and excellent. I am a fountain of value and an ardent problem solver. I am a voracious learner, so nothing is too difficult for me to master. I am a doer with a genius intellect. I am a CyberGirl! Who are we? Who are we? Who are we? Long live CyberSafe Foundation! Long live CyberGirls!
Good morning, everyone, and I am so excited to be hosting you once again for this session, a day in the life series. But this particular time, we are dealing with cloud security professional, and this event is proudly hosted by CyberSafe Foundation. And what really are we about? We are Africa's leading non-governmental organization in the digital development domain, on a mission to facilitate pockets of change that ensure inclusive and safe digital access in Africa. My name is Confidence Stavely, and I'm very honored to be hosting this session again. And we have a special guest today, but before I bring her on, I just want to share about the initiative you're currently, watching now. So CyberSafe Foundation does a lot of work through our initiatives. And the one we're currently seeing now is called CyberGirls, where we're equipping girls in underserved communities with globally sought after cybersecurity skills. And this session, which is a day in the life series, is supposed to, or rather is designed to give the girls a peek into every career path we're offering them to choose from in the coming weeks. We're giving them a peek into what people who work in these parts of cybersecurity do on a day-to-day basis, so they can make an informed decision. And so for today's session, we have the amazing Venicia. Venicia does a lot of amazing work for Microsoft, and we'll get to meet her in no time. We have just finished a session with Judy Ngure. You can watch this on our YouTube channel and on our LinkedIn page as well. So without further ado, let's just make welcome our guest, Venicia Solomons. Please, in CyberGirl style, with so much of excitement, let's make welcome our guest. And just as an additional information to add, Venicia is actually a mentor for some of our girls in Kosovo. I don't know if they're yeah. So she's currently mentoring our girls there, and she is based in South Africa. She's joining us from South Africa, and she works for Microsoft. And she's such an amazing person to have join us, and the best of persons to speak to us about cloud security. So we're very fortunate to have her. Thank you so much, Venicia, for coming.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, Confidence, for that amazing intro and for the warm welcome. And I'm so inspired, to be. I was inspired by the intro of the girls. I've been inspired to work with the girls who I'm mentoring in the program, and it's just so inspirational and so awesome, the work that's happening and how the girls are learning, and well done to that, and well done to all of you girls wanting to get into security. I mean, it's my absolute passion. It is what I've been doing since the start of my career, so I'm so proud to see so many of you excited and wanting to enter this career path.
Thank you so much, Venicia. And I want to add that usually I find it so hard. I know, everyone in InfoSec is very, very busy. So I don't like to call in double favors. She's literally mentoring the girls for free. This is something that people pay her to do. People pay her to guide them. And then she's doing it for free. So when I was thinking, I said, are you sure I should ask Venicia again? I mean, this is a double favor. People are so busy, But she immediately obliged, and that's to show you her heart. Venicia, we don't take this for granted. I want to say personally, thank you very much for the time you're spending and investing in these girls. It's taking a village to raise them. They're all grateful for all of the resources they're able to access. Thank you so much on their behalf. Thank you so much. So without further ado, let's just jump into the questions. We have quite a lot to ask you. And if you're joining us from LinkedIn and from YouTube and you have any question, please just shoot your question straight up, and we will take your questions. You can also send in your questions, and we're going to be scrolling them across the screen and taking time out to ask Venicia. So my first question is this. Please share a bit about your career journey and tell us how it all began.
All right, of course. Yeah, so I started into the industry of security and basically into IT as a network security engineer, an endpoint security engineer. So literally managing network firewall configurations, endpoint security configurations, etc. And I did that for a few years. And while I was doing that, it was very important for me to get some of the obviously certifications and credentials and all of that. And the next move I made, I then broadened my skill set a little bit, and I went into more security strategic initiatives, and I started looking into how, as an engineer, I can now consult with organizations and obviously help them mature their security technologies that they were using. So not only use one component of the firewall. Threats were evolving and becoming more sophisticated, and we needed to use many different components of technology for money that we've already spent and make it work to protect the business. And so with that consulting, I went into a lot of in-depth information around threat research, threat intelligence, and for everywhere I've been in security, I must say straight off the bat, that's my absolute passion. My absolute favorite domain is definitely threat information, threat security. And I believe the girls have been learning about the MITRE attack framework, etc. So it is really something that I'm so passionate about, mapping, those threats against the MITRE attack framework, etc. And from there, I became more of an advisor to organizations in the threat intelligence space, building out threat intelligence strategies, building out cybersecurity strategies with, utilizing threat intelligence. And then after that, I've worked for the biggest bank in Africa, basically. I've worked for insurance providers. And after that, I became the head of cybersecurity in my role just before Microsoft. And I was basically running the cybersecurity practice. And now I find myself as a cloud professional at Microsoft, which I'm really, really excited about. It is a new role for me, but I think it's a domain in security that's been really evolving, and where a lot of security skills are needed. And so that's why I find myself in this space today.
I mean, that sounds very exciting. And I'm just going to break the floor a bit and have Lilynora. Lilynora has been itching to say hello. This is my mentor. I am so proud to be here. So Lily, why not just unmute your mic and say hello, say something nice to your mentor?
Hello, ma. Welcome, ma.
Thank
He's my
you,
wonderful
thank you.
mentor. You well.
Okay, that's great. I mean, I'm very proud of that team in Cross River. They've been doing so well on Try Hack Me. I mean, the girls are currently approaching top 5% as we speak on Try Hack Me, and really, that means 1% status is just a stone throw away. So you've been doing amazing work, and we can't thank you enough on there. So Dorcas is also saying hello, my mentor, and she's just dropped the message right here. I'm sure.
And Patience must still say hi.
Oh yeah, where's Patience? Okay, maybe Patience is also saying, is Patience in the hub today?
No, ma. She's writing an exam.
Oh, okay. See, a lot of girls are juggling, and you know why this is amazing for me, because this is how women general the whole time of our lives. We literally have many balls in the air, and we're doing so well with managing their balls. And yeah, the girls there have been doing amazing, and just about everywhere else, But I'm just saying the girls in Cross River because this is our mentor, one of our mentors in Cross River. So great. I'm going to just jump on to the next question we have here for you. And as a reminder, if you have any questions, please drop a message on the box on YouTube, on the comment box on YouTube or LinkedIn. We're going to scroll it across, and then we're going to have an answer it as well. So who is a cloud security professional? What does this role entail? What are your day-to-day tasks?
Yeah, so a cloud security professional, I mean, that's really a broad term, right? So in my role specifically, I am a cloud security architect at the moment. And really, the cloud security professional covers a whole host of things. So you can be a cloud security analyst, a cloud security engineer, architect, etc. And what it basically means is we are trying to not reinvent the wheel of security. So we're not trying to build security from scratch, etc. We know that the world is evolving, things are going digital, businesses need to become more agile, and therefore it needs to be more scalable. We're moving to a space where companies globally don't necessarily want to invest in technology, and that's not necessarily the right thing to do. And what we want to do is we want to be able to have global collaborative businesses, and technology must support us and underpin that. But for that technology to support us and underpin that, the technology needs to be secure. And so what we do as cloud professionals is we not only work at the major corporations in terms of organizations provisioning cloud services to enable digitization and enable business enablement and growth. So there's twofold. So a cloud security professional, can be a technical professional that works with an organization to embed security into the cloud infrastructure. So if you have your physical platforms that's hosted by that cloud provider, that security professional will make sure that we comply with regulatory compliance policies. We understand the vulnerabilities and risks, etc., related to that physical platform, but that's dealing directly internal to the organization, right? And the second part of that is really where I come in and what I do. So I work daily with customers and partners to make sure that they understand the security landscape and security requirements with moving a business to cloud. So moving a business to cloud, technology, yes, it's inherently there, but security, you've got to switch on. You've got to understand what your business risks are, right? You've got to understand what threats there are and how you can be targeted as a business in terms of those threats. And then you've got to turn on the relevant components in order to reduce the risks to the business. And I mean, that's why I started with, it's not reinventing the wheel, because this is what we've been doing in security for years. It is just that now we're doing it on that cloud scale. Now we're doing it more on the strategic angle. And now we're saying that if you are moving your data to cloud, understand where the data is going to be located and hosted. Is that secure, and is it compliant, with where you are physically and your business requirements? And when you provision your server in the cloud, make sure you're ticking all the boxes, right? Make sure you're enabling multi-factor authentication. Make sure you're installing the latest patches to remediate risks and vulnerabilities, etc. And so that's what we're doing. And so my overall job day to day is I work with customers, I work with internal stakeholders, with a lot of security communities, etc. My role is to understand the Microsoft Azure cloud security components end to end, and to be the expert from an advisory perspective to advise people on what the best controls are to implement for a certain use case or scenario. So based on what the risk is and based on what that business requires, I will speak to a customer and I will advise them on, best practices for security, or I will speak to an internal stakeholder and I will advise them. And I will review architectures and I will embed or advise on embedding security into those architectures. And so that's my job. It's reviewing a lot of documentation, doing a lot of research and studying, and on the daily I'm in workshops, a lot of workshops with customers and with internal stakeholders, and that's typically a day in my life at the moment.
Wow, that's very interesting, and I just want to I just want to chime in there that for cloud, usually there's the two sides to responsibility. There's a responsibility of the cloud provider, and there's also the responsibility of the user. And I found that your role is quite exciting, because then you understand what the threats are, what the risks are, and you're able to advise the customer about what their responsibilities are in ensuring that the cloud is safe that they use. And then you also, also providing advisory services internally as well to stakeholders within the organization. So that's amazing. I just want to jump on to the next question now. Why is cloud security important? I want to add another part and say, is it really important? But again, that's a no-brainer question to know that yes, it's very important. But why is it important, and what makes it uniquely different from the traditional data protection, work? And what are the key trends that are shaping the future of cloud security?
Yeah, absolutely. So cloud security, I would say I would shift a little bit, and I would say the number one thing that people need to understand about cloud security is that the cloud is not inherently secure. There's different methods of moving to cloud in terms of there's infrastructure as a service, where the cloud provider takes care of most of the equipment and underlying infrastructure, and there's various layers that the cloud provider is then responsible from an infrastructure perspective to make sure the equipment is safe. When it comes to platform as a service, the cloud provider does have more of a security responsibility. But one thing to call out here is that the user management, so users in your business, and the data management will at all times remain with the business or the end customer moving their information into cloud. Now, why this is critical is because a lot of businesses and a lot of organizations are moving their information into cloud. And why cloud security is so important is that if you move your information into cloud and you don't understand the type of information that you're moving, the security requirements of those information, the regulatory requirements of that information, you're essentially putting your business at risk, because the cloud provider is not responsible to understand the information that you are bringing to cloud. It is the customer that is responsible. And it is so important that from a customer perspective that you actually understand that. It is so important from a customer perspective that you understand the risks when you are moving your users to cloud, because you've still got to employ the underpinning requirements of multi-factor authentication. The cloud infrastructure is on the internet, right? Especially if you're making use of a software as a service kind of solution, like, Microsoft Office solutions, or like, YouTube platforms that we are using right now. And so if the end consumer is not aware that they need to actually take the responsibility and secure what they are putting into cloud and how they are accessing the cloud, then we're going to fail at security, and we are going to fail at digitization. So the number one thing is, in order to go digital, it's a collaborative approach. It is very important that everybody understands end-to-end what their requirement and what their role is when moving to cloud. Cloud security is critical because as we go digital, as we scale, as we talk to each other globally, we need to ensure that we do so in a secure manner. The cyber criminals or threat actors are not going anywhere. It's a business for them, just how it's a business for us. And we've got to make sure that we do at least the bare minimums to protect ourselves and our organizations when we move to cloud.
I mean, that's really, really profound, and how you were able to tie the success of a cloud security program to digitization as a whole. Because if you're successful at protecting the organization assets, in this case, information systems, you're able to then grow your digitization plan, and you're doing that securely as well, ensuring that you're within the requirements of the law as well. So thank you very much for bringing in that connection, because we often see security as one thing that's on the side, but if we begin to see security as enabler for a business, it changes the whole dynamics. And that's what every single professional that we're building here should see. Security is an enabler for business. But the next question before I go on with my talk is, I want you to walk us through, and share just about any standards, processes, methodologies, approaches, or frameworks that you follow in your day-to-day task or day-to-day work.
Okay, so I think from framework and methodology perspective, there's probably two that I would say is absolutely critical for security professionals to know, and it's really global standards, etc. And what I use is my daily bread and butter is really the NIST cybersecurity framework from a NIST perspective. I mean, that is, everything. There is also the cloud security framework. And then from a Microsoft perspective, we've actually got an entire service trust center. And I actually didn't know the value of the Service Trust Center to that extent until I actually had to do this on a daily basis. And so why I use internal and external frameworks is because obviously, from a Microsoft perspective, this provides the best context. The cybersecurity frameworks from Microsoft themselves provides the best context on how I do my job in terms of being the subject matter expert in this cloud portfolio stack. But why I remain aligned to industry frameworks and industry standards is because organizations will hardly ever just have one single environment. They will not only have Azure, right? They will most likely have something hybrid that's an on-premise type solution, or that's an AWS or GCP or any kind of solution that they have. And so it's very important to broaden your skill set, and the frameworks that support me daily in my role that I reference every single day has got to be NIST. It's got to be things like the Cyber SANS Top 20 framework, and then from a web security perspective, the OWASP Top 10, which I just saw was new updates were released, and now I got to go study that thing again. But that's really, really critical from that perspective. And then from a threat perspective, the cyber kill chain and MITRE attack framework, absolutely critical.
I'm very happy that you mentioned all of these things, because right now we are pumping the girls with all of this information, and it may seem like, why are we learning all of this? You can now hear that these are all industry standards. These are like what you'll be using and have to know, like at the back of your palm. All of the things you've mentioned, I'm very sure all of the girls in Cross River know right now, from the OAPS Top 10 know. So the girls, you all know OAPS Top 10 like the back of your hand, and they do a lot of their open day demos around it. And but the girls in Cross River, are very vested in threat intelligence and are beginning to get their hands dirty as well with the MITRE attack framework. So, but the OAPS Top 10 and all of the things you've mentioned are the things that we are making the girls get familiar with, and that's the reason we're doing this, is also because we know that the industry. In the industry, when you get working there in the industry, these are the things that are basic that you must know and must get familiar with. But I want to ask, like, in the context of maybe a girl here who is just about to start, their career in cybersecurity, how would I know as a cyber girl if cloud security is a path that is great fit for me?
Yeah, I think as a cyber girl, so firstly, I think cybersecurity is such a massive field, and I think not many people know how massive it is. And so what I would do as a cyber girl is I would definitely first go and investigate and research and do some of the get access to some of the free education that's available online, right? So most of I think all three of the big cloud providers, Microsoft, Amazon, and Google, they have learning platforms where you can go in and you can just go and learn about the fundamentals of cloud, and you can learn about the fundamentals of cloud security. And based on that, you can see if that is something that you are really, really interested in. Cloud security is a path in a career space for the future. I think a lot of security professionals are currently going to evolve and try and evolve themselves into the cloud space, because whether it is, a massive organization like Microsoft or a bank, everybody is moving certain components and certain workloads into cloud. So I think even, looking into the future, you may not have that clear distinction between a cloud security professional versus, an infrastructure security professional, something like that, because it might just overlap and you might just become cross-skilled. But how I would approach it if I was a CyberGirl, obviously based on those conversations, maybe I introduced someone to cloud security and to the career opportunities of cloud security, and then I would go, even on YouTube, I would go and find people who work in cloud. I would check what their lives are like. I would go onto the cloud provider sites and just get an interest into and an overview into what cloud is all about, and then see if I'm interested. Because the thing with security and confidence, you will know, the thing with security is the field is massive and you have to keep learning and learning and evolving and evolving. And it's such a high pressure space to be in, that you've got to love what you do. And so I would encourage that you first check, what it is about. If it's very interesting to you and it's something that you want to look at, you should definitely do some of the free training, and upskill yourself. Skills are so important.
That's very, very true. We can't overemphasize that. So we're almost running out of time, or we have actually, we're almost running out of time though. And I just want to ask what your most challenging and intriguing project or experience has been, in your career path now as a cloud security professional, and what did you learn?
Yeah, I think that the most challenging experience for me at the moment is still that, now I'm working in a space that is a lot more advanced. In an organization like Microsoft, it's inherent that we see that cloud is the better alternative, cloud is the better investment. But what's often overlooked or maybe undervalued is that organizations have spent millions on investment into infrastructure, etc. So while it is so business enabling to move to cloud, and like I say, to move securely to cloud, we must not underestimate the original investments made by business into infrastructure, for their businesses to run and operate optimally. And so one of the challenges that I find at the moment is being able to switch on the switch and flick the mindset towards understanding that yes, cloud is beneficial, but cloud is not something that's there far in the future. Cloud is not something that is going to skyrocket the expenses of your business. Perhaps initially when transitioning to cloud, you are now going to move from infrastructure that you've procured to paying like monthly fees for services, etc., etc. But you're taking a lot of responsibilities away from your business, and you're allowing your people to focus on more strategic initiatives while also upskilling your technical professionals. And so the mindset shift, I would say, is still a challenge for me in terms of working with different organizations. And I think that's what's going to take time, is to do that. And also, there's also a thought that cloud is, if I put my data in the cloud, my data is not necessarily in the safest place, so it's not secure. And that's the right thought if you have not approached security in the best way possible when moving to cloud. So it's important to understand moving to cloud, why you're moving to cloud, and how do you move to cloud securely.
That is very profound. We can't say that enough. Moving securely is very key. The next key thing I want to ask is, what are the skills required to break into this field and excel while in it? And are there job opportunities for CyberGirl fellows starting out?
Yeah, absolutely. So the job opportunities in cloud and cloud security is massive. Alone, from a Microsoft perspective, Microsoft is investing billions into the development of skills and employing professionals into from graduate positions, from internship positions, etc., all the way up into cybersecurity. And so are many big organizations doing. The opportunity is really massive. I would say the focus needs to be focus on building those skills, but build well-rounded skills. So what the CyberSafe Foundation is doing for these girls is so critical, because it allows them to get holistic knowledge. It allows them to touch on many different spaces within security and actually understand the core fundamental concepts of security. And then on top of that, they can build these learnings of cloud fundamentals and cloud security fundamentals, and even go and practice these skills on cloud platforms, and then apply for roles, internship or graduate type roles at these large organizations, because there's definitely a gap. There's a gap in the market, and the gap is only going to get wider and wider and wider as we require more skills in cloud security.
Thank you so much. And my next question is: if someone here wants to start out in the cloud security, in the cloud security role, what are the other InfoSec, career paths or roles that they can pivot to after some years?
Yeah, so if someone wants to start out, I think starting from there, a cool place to start is, a cloud security analyst or a cloud security engineer, etc. And then, from there you can move to many different roles. Cloud security is almost like an entire business on its own. And so where I find myself is in the architecture space. But there are technical specialist space. There's people that focus on SIM completely. There's people that focus on threat intelligence completely. And then there's people on the business side. So there's business security strategists. So if you don't want to, in the future be as technical, there's business security strategists. And also, if you look at the other end of the spectrum, if you don't go to a major tech organization, you can definitely be, from a security analyst, work on their cloud platform and their cloud infrastructure, and then move into somewhere like an enterprise architecture kind of space. And you can move into being a very key part of the business team and business stakeholders, and advise, on security initiatives within the business. So it's really, you have so many places to go with choosing a career path like cloud security.
That's super cool. So we have two more questions to ask. One is unconventional, and I'll be asking that last. We also have some questions that have come in from the audience. One question. So what has helped you get to where you are in your career, and what advice would you have for the CyberGirls fellows who and other people joining us across the world that want to set off in a similar direction?
Yeah, I think something that has helped me a lot is the right mindset. So when working in a career space like security, you've got to know that you are never going to know everything to the extent of 100%. You're never going to feel like you completely have all of the information, because the reality is that you don't. Whether you're working in incident response and trying to detect a cyber criminal that's in a network, that is an uncertain situation. It's a critical and uncertain situation. And whether you are a chief information security officer trying to build out a security strategy, it is an uncertain situation, because the landscape might change in an instant. The landscape might change in the next couple of months. So having the right mindset and knowing that you need to have adaptability, you need to know that you are always going to need more information, and you need to be okay with the fact that you're always going to need more information. You're always going to have to learn more, and your skills are never going to be at a point where it is adequate enough for you to say, I'm the top person, I have enough skills. It doesn't work like that in security. Even when you are the chief security officer, you're still learning on a continuous basis, and you're still evolving, and you're still trying to identify who these cyber criminals are and what are they doing to my business, etc. So having the right mindset is critical. From where you all are now, in terms of trying to understand something as complicated and methodical as the MITRE ATT&CK framework, it's never going to make 100% sense to you, and you have to accept that it's not, but you have to ensure that you understand the core fundamentals of this framework and what the framework is trying to teach you. Right, so that I would say is one thing that has really helped me. And then a second thing is continually building new skills. Skills are so important. Having the ability to practice what you are trying to implement and know what it is that needs to be done. Because like I said, you're also not going to know 100%, but you've got to trust your instincts and you've got to have the skills to validate, that what you are doing is the right thing. So I think for me, mindset and skills.
I can't say I can't say how so true what you're saying is. I mean, I think that explains very largely why you would find that almost all information security professionals are very, very humble people, like very humble and very supportive people. So you find that I have a friend who is the chief information security officer for one of the biggest banks in Nigeria. I think the biggest bank, top 3 banks in Nigeria. And every time we're talking, it's like, okay, so what book are you? And that is somebody who is the CISO for one of the biggest banks in Africa. Also providing services in another continent, but he's constantly wanting to learn, and it's very humbling, to see that across the industry are also always wanting to lend a hand and help other people. I'm sharing this because for you, the CyberGirl, sometimes you feel like, no, you don't know what you're doing. The truth is that you know a lot. You may not know it all to sit and say, "Oh, I'm all comfortable." And there are always shoulders you can lean on. Everyone knows that this is how the industry is, and so everybody is also humble enough to learn. Everybody is also humble enough to help one another, and that's why I think that's why the community is so closely knit, and that explains it all. Thank you so much, Venicia, for sharing that very profound truth about mindset. So my last question from me to you before we take the questions from the audience is an unconventional question, but if there's one thing you could have more of, what would it be? If there's one thing you could have more of, what would that be?
In my career or in my life? To be honest, if we're going career, life, everything, time. I want more time in my day. At the moment, I have so many things going on, and I also have this drive to impact as many lives as I can, to share my skill. And like you're saying, in the industry, with what we know and what we've learned over time, it is so critical that we pass that on and we share that knowledge. And sometimes you just don't have enough time. I don't have enough time to coach enough people, to mentor enough people, and to learn enough things in one day, and to execute on my job and do everything I need to in one day. So if there's one thing I need more of, it's time.
I agree with you. I totally do. I wish we could just have, 2 more hours, like a 26-hour day for just InfoSec professionals.
Yeah. And you have to sleep less also. Your sleep requirement isn't that long. It's just an hour, then you recharge.
Exactly. I agree with you. So this is our last question, and it's from the audience. So do you usually have any repeated challenges when you're working? And if you do, how do you tackle these challenges when they happen?
Sure, I do. I do, and particularly like yesterday, for example, I had a really tough day because I had a challenge, and it was a technical challenge, a problem that I was trying to solve and work through. And for the life of me, what was so frustrating is that I knew I had done this before, and I knew that I was able to do it before, and I was able to configure something properly before, but the challenge had repeated itself. So firstly, what I do when I have these challenges is, and this is something that I learned very late on, and I would advise, the girls to do this. If something is challenging and you can't grasp the concept of it, first take 10 minutes away, right? Take 10 minutes to yourself, because resetting your mind is absolutely critical before you face that challenge or have that conversation or whatever it is that you're trying to do and that's challenging for you. So first, step away and gather your thoughts. And even if it's for a quick, walk out the door or walk to the kitchen, go and grab a cup of tea or water or anything like that, but clear your mind first, right? That allows you to really process what's happening, what you are challenged with, and then potentially gives you a fresh perspective on how to handle it the next time. So even though you've done it before, now you might get a fresh perspective, or you might get recollection, because when you're in that pressure moment of that challenge, you might not be able to recall. So the first thing is step away, gather your thoughts, and then once you're ready to face that challenge, to be honest, how I approach it is I unpack it as if it didn't happen before, because it just means that what I did the first time to solve the challenge, I might not have grasped it well, or I might not have grasped the steps well to be able to solve the challenge and solve the problem. And so what this means is that I might need to go back, step back, and reinvest that time and that study time to be able to understand what the challenge is, and then unpack it step by step, and then solve the problem. And in that way, although it was repeated, the next time I do it, hopefully I will know what is happening, because I redid something, and that's perfectly fine. To redo something is perfectly fine. There's no problem with that whatsoever. You continue evolving and you continue learning.
Thank you so much, Venicia, for this very enlightening session with you. Onone, that was such a great question, and I think we should just all give ourselves a round of applause and just also clap for our guest speaker. All right, I will do our thumbs in the air for our guest speaker. Do we do that? Thumbs in the air for the guest speaker.
Yeah.
I think that's a good thing I actually enjoy. I think we should be doing more. Okay, awesome. Great. So we've come to the end of this session, but again, Venicia is very active on LinkedIn, and you can really reach out to her. And if you spend time, she'll respond. She also does amazing videos on Instagram. On Instagram, she's Cyber Queen. You should connect with her. She's sharing a lot, on Instagram. I think that's when we first connected.
Yes.
Yeah, so she shares a lot of very nice reels. She makes reels very often, and she's sharing a lot about use for users generally and for information security professionals. So you should definitely connect with her on both platforms. Thank you so much for your time today, and thank you to everyone who joined us from LinkedIn and from YouTube. We see all the love you're sharing on Twitter as well for the girls. And I just want to use this opportunity to give Onone's group a shout out. You're currently at 7% on Try Hack Me. Amazing the speed that you're doing this with, and how much work you're putting in. Well done, well done. I mean, 5% is a throughput away for you. Well done, girls. And I just want to really say, I hope that these sessions are opening up your minds to the fact that this is a challenging path, and the pressure we are creating in the program is very similar to the pressure you need to get used to in the workplace, and it will get more exciting as you go on. You may not feel it that way anymore as pressure. We would have one last guest very soon, because we've had 6 amazing guests. We'll have one last guest that we're going to treat with threat intelligence, and this series will be over. But we can't say thank you enough, Venicia. Let's just say bye as we let Venicia
Thank
go.
you.
Thank you
Bye,
so much.
everyone.
Bye. Okay, great. Bye, everyone. We were just going to be ending the broadcast right now. You can drop your comments as well. Thank you.